Okay, today is Tuesday, February 9th, 7th. Oh, okay, I'm 2 days ahead of myself. February 7th, 2023. We have a 4-question warm-up here having to do with two-step algebraic equations from 8.2 in our MathLinks 9 textbook. So the first question gives us the 2x plus 1 equals 3. Now remember, in this equation, going back to our vocabulary, we have a coefficient of 2 and a constant of 1. So if we think about what that looks like, I'm just going to draw it real quick. 2x's and a positive 1 equals a positive 3. So in two-step algebraic equations where you have both a coefficient and a constant, you learned in grade 7 and grade 8 that you want to use opposite operations to solve, and you want to get rid of your constant first, right? Once you get rid of your constant, you'll have a one-step equation, and then you could solve it like you normally would. So what we're going to do here then is we're going to actually subtract 1 from both sides to get rid of the constant, giving us a new equation that's still equal. It still contains our variable, but is 2x equals 2. Then we're going to divide both sides by the coefficient, and x will equal 1. Now, if you are not showing your work like I am, please start to get used to it, because on a test, if you don't do it my way, I kind of lose my mind a little bit, so make sure you do show it properly. In the second question, we have a coefficient of -5 and a constant of -4. We're going to add 4 to both sides to get rid of your constant. -5x equals the sum of -9 and positive 4. If you add those two together, you get -5. Then we're going to divide both sides by the coefficient, which is -5. Now, there are still some people in the world, even by grade 9, that think -5 divided by -5 is 0. It's not. -5 divided by -5 is positive 1, which is your solution. In the third question, we have a coefficient of what? Anybody? What's our coefficient? Go ahead, Danny. How much of x do we have? We have a -1/2. So if I wanted to rewrite this question, I technically could write it like this. This is the exact same equation, isn't it? Right? We have a -1/2 of x. So our coefficient is -1/2, and our constant is -3. We're going to get rid of our constant first by adding 3 to both sides. We have a -1/2 of x is equal to -5. We're going to multiply both sides by -2 to get rid of the, you can make 1 full x, and x will equal a positive 10. And finally, in our last question, we have a two-step equation, but now we have our variable on our other side. Our constant is -3. Now, the hard question is, what is our coefficient? What is our coefficient in our variable? How much of x do we have? What would you say for that, Andrew? How much x do we have? Close, a -5th, right? So I technically could write this question like this. A -5th of x, or I could write it like this. A fifth is actually 2/10 if I write it as a decimal, isn't it? Right? So technically, those are the exact same equations. All three of them are the exact same thing. We're just having to use fractional coefficients written a little bit different. We're going to add 3 to both sides to get rid of your constant. We're going to have 7 is equal to. Now, remember this other part too. We've said it already 100 times. These are all the same thing, right? It doesn't matter where your negative sign goes. It's still a -5th of x. We're always going to put our negative sign in algebra in the denominator, right? We're going to put it right there. And therefore, once I have it written like that, I'm going to multiply both sides by -5 to get rid of that. Multiply this side by -5. And -35 is the value of x.